I've got a 1996 250 quad runner. We're going to pull the starter off because the starter seems to be bad. So what we're going to do, we're going to take out those two screws, and there's one screw down here. This one is missing, and we're going to pop that cover off. Next thing we're going to do is take off the wheel on the other side because the starter is located on the other side. Okay, we have the wheel off. Now we'll go down under here and we'll check the starter to see where it's at. Okay, right there's the starter. Okay, it looks like we're going to have to remove these 9 screws to remove our fender skirt here, so we'll have access to our starter. Now we have better access to the starter, and be careful when you're taking these screws out to not booger up the ends of the Phillips head, and the nut on the back of those screws takes a 5/16 wrench. In order to get that starter out, we're going to have to move these out of the way. I'll take this right here off, and I will unbolt it from right there and try and pull that out and move it out of our way. Okay, we got our brake cable out of the way. Now we can go up here and take the 2 bolts out of the back of the starter and pull it out. The bolts that came out of here were 8mm. Now I'm going to have to take the starter wire off of here. This bolt right here that's on the starter wire is 10mm. Okay, the starter's out. Now I'll see if I can fix it. I have a 210 60 amp battery charger. I'm going to put it on 60 amp. Got everything hooked up. As you can see, nothing's happening. I'm not even getting any sparks. So something's wrong with the starter. I'm going to take these 2 screws out, one here, one on the bottom. And I'm going to see what this looks like on the inside. Took the bolts out and already got water running out. Okay, I had thought it was water. Of course it may still be water, but it looks like real thin oil running out of this thing, and this thing shouldn't have oil in it, to my knowledge. Same way with this, it'll need cleaned off, dried out. Okay, I believe this is the armature. This isn't supposed to be coated or even covered with oil. It's supposed to be dry. Also, this thing definitely needs cleaned up with our brushes. As you can see, them sticking out there. I don't think they're sticking out far enough to make contact. That's why the starter's not turning. So I'm going to see if I can get those replaced. Okay, got everything cleaned up. It's all nice and dry. Now I'm going to wait and get my brushes and start putting this back together. Okay, this one looks good. We got our new brushes on there, and now we're going to put the starter back together. This part's all assembled already. Now we're going to put this part inside here. We got it all back together. Make sure your insulators are on your stud here so that this don't ground out. This only goes on one way. You have a little indent right here. It goes down in this little space here, and then your bolt holes are lined up. Now they made this fairly easy. You can see the brushes right here, where you just take this, put it in there, down at this end, and push it up, and then push it in, and it should slide right into your hole right there, and then put the bolts in it. Okay, we got our starter all back together. Now we're going to test it, make sure it works. Oh yeah, works good. Putting the starter back in. First thing we want to do is put the starter wire back on. Okay, now we'll push it back up in here, seat it, and put the bolts in it. Make sure it's in there right. Okay, make sure that you get your ground wire back onto your bolt before you tighten it up. Now we'll put the cables back on. Our cables are on. Now we'll put the fender piece back on. Okay, now we'll go ahead, put the wheel on. Now we'll go hook up the battery. Yeah, go ahead and hook the positive side up first. Okay, now you can put the cover on. Okay, everything's together. Now we're going to see how the starter works. Okay, before all we got was a clicking from the solenoid. So there we go. Works good.